Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone, and happy new year. I am so happy that you were able to join us today for our latest edition of our Travel Esquire'd live stream. First, I want to say happy new year to everyone. I hope that you had a good 2021, and if you didn't, that's okay. We get to start all over again with 2022, and we will make this beyond great. So, I wanted to get into today. First of all, I want to welcome those to the Travel Esquire community. If you are new to the community, thank you for stopping by. Hopefully, you'll come back again. If you've been at previous live streams or watched the live streams on the replay, welcome back. I'm so glad to see you. I'm actually glad to see you all. Very happy that you are here. If you haven't, take a moment to say who you are in the chat, say hello, welcome, say hello to the others in the community. Let us know where you're from. We want to hear from you. So thank you. Good morning, Marilyn. Thank you so much for joining today and happy new year. Anybody else, please say hello. I will bring you up and say hi. Um, I just want to be able to welcome and greet you because I am so happy you joined us. So, as we're waiting for that, just a little bit of housekeeping. If you have a moment, please press the little like button at the bottom. That way, it'll bring somebody else like you are looking for information that I have because so many people have liked my channel and liked my show. It'll bring it up on the algorithm. It's all about the algorithm. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please take a moment to do so. Subscribe to my channel so I stay top of mind, and then you can come back to me whenever you have some questions or need something that needs to be parsed out. If you are watching this on a replay, everybody here will tell you that I answer all questions. So if you're on the replay, just pop your question in the chat, and I will come back and I will answer them as best as I can. If you have any questions, please make sure that you put a Q in front of them. I just put that in the little chat. Make sure you put a Q in front of the questions because that'll help me decipher, if you guys are talking or if there's an actual question for me. So don't forget to do that, please. Hi, Michelle. Good morning from Syracuse. I know it's cold there because it's cold here. She's only 2 hours away. So please bundle up and stay warm. Happy New Year. Hi, Keisha. How are you doing this morning? Happy New Year. Let us know where you're from. I would love, love, love to know where you're from and seeing how the weather is this crazy, crazy year so far. So let's get into it, shall we? So today my topic is about, is your website illegal? And I'm pretty sure I got everybody's panties in a bunch when I said that because it's like, wait, what do you mean illegal? How can a website be illegal? I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm just selling travel. But yes, your website can be illegal because you don't have the proper items on your site to make it compliant. So, one of the things you have to understand being a business owner, your website, of course, is your front facing of your business. A lot of us as travel agents and advisors work out of our home, work out of remote locations, and don't have a storefront. We when I think of storefront, I think of places like Liberty Travel, which still is in existence, still in the malls. You sit down, have face to face with someone. A lot of us are doing it virtually now, whether it be having meetings via Zoom or Google Meet, sending proposals electronically, so on and so forth. Having calendar programs like Calendly and Acuity and all these other things and email marketing, all of this stuff is done digitally now. So in a digital world, there's a lot of laws that tell you what you need to do to protect consumers. So one of those things is with your website. Your website is now, think of it as your storefront. That is one of the first ways, unless it's, word of mouth, that people are going to be in touch with you. They're going to go on there, they're going to browse around. They may give you your email to get on your mailing list, all types of things. But as you're having your website there as your storefront, you need to make sure it's legally compliant. And so there's a lot of federal and state laws, and it varies state by state, that you need to be aware of. One of the laws is having a privacy policy on your website. So if you're selling to customers in New York, in California, and other places as well, you need to make sure you have a privacy policy. So you're probably looking at me like, what? Wait, what is that? I don't know what that is. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. Give me 1 second. Let me just take a swig of water and then we'll continue. Sorry about that, guys. Whew. All right. First stream and I have the hiccups. Gotta love it. So, what is a privacy policy? So, this is a policy that should be posted on your website that tells your prospective clients and clients what information you're going to gather from them and how you're going to store and use that information. So, think about being in the client journey, right? You have a client that comes to you, a prospective client that comes to you and says, "Hey, Linda," and "Hi, thank you. Thank you for joining us from Nashville. So hey Linda, I want to I want you to plan a birthday vacation to me at Atelier in Mexico, right? Think of all the information you get from that prospective client before you even do the booking. So you're going to get the first and last name of that client, right? Then you're going to get their phone number and an email address. So those are the three basic things you think of, as well as you might get their date of birth, um, and who will be their traveling companions, who is going with them. And then you're getting that information, the same information about the traveling companions. That information is called PII, or personal identifiable information. Okay. So that is information where if I have that in my possession, I can identify who this person is and possibly gather more information about them, like their address, if they are in school, what school they go to, who their relatives are, where they go, where they work. So all of that information needs to be secure. So you need to tell them up front, look, this is the information I'm getting from you. I'm storing it here and I will use it for these purposes. So now we're still in the client journey. Think about how you use that information. So you're going on to your third party supplier websites, whether it be to the resort specifically or maybe a tour operator like Vacation Express or Delta Vacations or Classic Vacations or something similar. You're now going through finding quotes and you're able to put that quote on hold. So now you're sharing that information with that tour operator so they can put that quote on hold. You need to let your clients know that, or your prospective clients know that, because now you're taking their PII, which they gave to you for safekeeping, and sharing it with another entity for them to use as part of your business case, as part of it's a legitimate business purpose. But you also need to understand that with it being a legitimate business purpose, that it needs to whatchamacallit, um it being a legitimate business purpose, that you still need to tell them that. So that's what your privacy policy does. And it allows people to also come on, ask you for what information you have on file for them, as well as if they don't want you to have any information on file for them, they can ask you to remove it. Okay. Also, let's think about when they come to your website and they say, and you say, get on my email list, and they give you your name and their email address. That's PII as well, and you need to safeguard it. And so we use different programs, such as if you use Flowdesk for email marketing, If you use a CRM like TravelJoy, Vacation CRM, all of those things need to have some type of encryption in order to keep that safe. I know that I just went through a whole lot. So if you have any questions, again, please let me know. Put a Q in front of it because I'm going to dig a little bit deeper on this privacy piece. But I just gave you just a broad overview, but I want to hear from you. But I also want to take a moment to say hi to people who came in and we haven't had a chance to say hello to. So, Candace, hi. Thank you for joining us from Arizona, and it's 36 degrees. Wow, that's matching New York weather. Shouldn't be like that in Arizona. So I hope it gets warmer for you guys. Oh, and Keisha, thank you for letting us know you're in South Carolina. Yeah, you guys are going through it down there. So be safe, keep warm. Linda, happy new year to you from Nashville. Yes, we already said hi, but I'll say hi again. Um, and Shanita, she's from New York City, or another part of New York, because some people think that New York means just New York City. So we want to let them know there's a whole state. So, but Shanita, thank you for joining, and I appreciate you guys. So yeah, so I think I've said hi to everyone. Let's get into a little bit more about your privacy policy, where it should be on your website, and how what it should be included. So I'm going to share with you my website, right? So you can take a look and see what we have here. So now you see my website, my little picture here, so on and so forth, and you give all types of information about my website. Now, if you scroll down, you see the different brands that I have, all types of information as well, my sightings, which needs to be updated because I have had so many since then. And then down here, you'll see my privacy policy. Generally, this is where privacy policies are housed, down at your bottom footer. So let's look at another website. Let's look at Apple. They're huge e-commerce. Yes, the 13 is pretty. Huge e-commerce website. Get all, you can purchase, you can get support, all types of things. Ooh, that's a pretty green. So yeah, total squirrel moment. But as you can see, I like green. But now down here is where you have different menus, and then their privacy policy down here as well. Okay, so as you look at different websites, you'll see all of these things on their website. It's generally down in the bottom footers where you would house your privacy policy, and it's text. So let's take a look at mine. So it tells you the effective date. I go over key terms. I go over who I am. I go over. Oh, I gotta update that. And then what information is collected. This is the important part. So you go over you're collecting from your clients. You're collecting financial information. Think about it. We're going through the client journey. You're collecting information. You're collecting their credit card information. If they're sending you bank information, you're collecting bank draft. And with that, you're getting all of the credit card. You're getting the number, you're getting their little security code, the expiration date, the address that is hooked to, and the phone number that is hooked to. So you need to safeguard that information. If they're getting onto you through social networking, you might capture that as well, or it may be on your what is it called? It may be on your questionnaire as you get information from them. Derivative data. So a lot of your web browsers, you need to check whoever your hosting is, will take what they call cookie data. So now you see that when you go to a website, oh, we collect cookies. Do you allow us to have to collect cookies on you? That's what that derivative data is. And so you need to let them know that you're going to be collecting that information, as well as personal information. The next thing you need to know about your privacy policy is to let your clients know how you're storing that information. So if you haven't yet, now is a really, really good time to check with the third party suppliers that you're using in order to see if they have encryption software hooked to those policies to that software. How are they keeping your client's information safe? And that's very important dealing with your CRM. How are they keeping it safe? Because you're not storing that information on your computer. You're storing it on you're storing it on whatchamacallit, you're storing it on their servers. So it's not managed by you. So if that's the case, then if it's not managed by you, then how are they keeping that information safe? Right? Next thing is um why are you using that information? Okay? How do you now getting as by virtue of them giving that information to you, they're giving you permission to use that information. So how are you using it? Number one is legitimate business interests. Let's go back to my example about your supplier, right? And whatchamacallit, about your supplier and who your supplier is, what they are, what information they need in order to secure that vacation package. So all of the information that you're getting from your client, you're now giving to that third party. You need to let your client know that, right? The other part is performance of a contract. So they're contracting with you in order to make sure that you provide them travel services. And in exchange, they're giving you all that information to do that for them. So that's a purpose by law. So let's say, for instance, something happens, a credit card gets stolen and police contacts you or what have you. By law, they're asking you to provide information that you may have. And so you're going to do that. Or let's say, God forbid, a regulatory agency contacts you and thinks that you're not following one of their laws. Then you may have to disclose information about your client or prospective client to them. Also, to protect the company, this comes into play mainly with chargebacks. A credit card company reaches out to you and asks you to, about transactions done on a card by your client. So now you need to go in and provide them information about that transaction to protect you, to show that transaction was actually was actually legitimate. So there you go. And advertisers. So, you may have ads. You may work with third parties who runs ads on your behalf. That is an important part. These are just skimming the surface. It's not as travel advisors, there may be more that you do with that information. So it's very important that you whatchamacallit. It's very important that you oh, sorry, wrong camera. Haha. There we go. It's very important that you get down your customer journey. And I've said this during the Terms and Conditions series, to make sure that that journey is, to make sure that that journey, you know what the customer's journey is, what information you're getting from them, and then you can go ahead and put that in your privacy policy to cover you. So, any questions so far? Hi, Shannon. Thank you for joining us from Maryland. I so appreciate you coming on. So if you have any questions, don't forget, put the little Q in front of your question. I know I'm going through a lot of information, but I want to make sure you get this. So, because it's very important to make sure that your website is legal. Okay. So now we went through the policy, right? Now you need to tell people what you do with the information, and then how long you're storing the information. Okay, so that's what your privacy policy goes through. So it's very important that you, as the agency owner and the business owner, make sure you have a privacy policy. And so, what I'm going to do, and I was just inspired to do that, is I'm going to develop a privacy policy checklist. And that checklist, if you are a privacy policy owner, I mean, if you, no, shouldn't say that. If you subscribe to the mailing list today, so January 5th, so even if you check this on the replay and it's still January 5th, and you subscribe to the mailing list today, you will then get a privacy policy checklist free from me. You got to give me until like next week to get it to you. You'll get it via email, but um, you whatchamacallit, we'll get the checklist. So to get on the email list, I put it in the chat, and there's a link for you to get on the email list. So don't forget to do that. All right. And that is above and beyond the periodic newsletters, TE tidbits that I call it, and reminders of the live stream. So Shannon has a question. Should my privacy policy disclose that their information is stored with another company? Yes. Not only should you say that you're going to share that information with other companies, you should say that it is being stored by them and you have no control over that information once it goes to that other company. But hopefully they'll have the opportunity to to they'll have the opportunity to talk with that other company to manage their information with them. So, for instance, I know a lot of us use tour operators when we put together vacation packages on behalf of our clients. So, that tour operator will have their information and might want to send them emails to directly to your clients. Yes, it's a crick in our craw. I get it. It sucks. But if you can then tell your client, um look, you can go and contact that tour operator directly and tell them not to email you or share your information. Okay? And if a client asks who it's being shared with, do not be afraid to tell them who it's being shared with. It's very important that you let them know that. Okay? Great question. So now you've seen where to put your policy. You see what goes into it. What else should you have on your website for it to be in compliance? So you should also have a terms of use. Now, how is this different than your terms and conditions document? Because you're thinking, oh, okay, we have terms and conditions document. Shouldn't that be enough? It's not. Your terms and conditions document is your foundation on how your business is going to be run and how you're going to interact with your clients. Your terms of use documents tells your clients how a person should utilize your website. So if they're going to be on your website, you don't want anybody on there doing nefarious things, such as adding different malware to it, adding things of that nature to your website. You don't want that to happen. So um when you're on your terms of use, you want to go into what the website is about, what it's for, what your purpose is for the website, and that they don't have permission to use their website for nefarious reasons. They can't put malicious code on it. They can't copy your website without your permission. That whole copyright thing. They need to treat your website as just a place to gather information or a means to contact or communicate with you and your business. That's it. So you may think, hey, where do I get all this information from? Well, one place I want to tell you not to get it from is from your website, your web host. A lot of them have privacy policies as part of the as part of their service. But if you take a moment to read their policy, that policy only deals with them and how your web host deals with information. There's no protection for you and your company. Okay? So I want to make that very, very clear. Using the web host privacy policy does not protect you and your company, and it does not reflect how you run your business. Because think about it. Let's take, for instance, Squarespace is a very popular web hosting company. They have so many different business types on their website. They have that use their services. They have you as a travel advisor. They can have an e-commerce site, somebody selling apparel. They can have someone on there selling courses and vice versa. Each business is totally different, and the information each business gathers is totally different. So think about, how can Squarespace's privacy policy be able to manage and reflect accurately all of those different business types that use their service? They can't. Because we've even discussed within the travel industry how different travel agents have different business models. Some are just destination weddings, some do groups only, you know. And every some people charge fees, some people don't. There's so many different business models and information being requested from prospective customers and customers. It is totally impossible for to have a generic privacy policy meet those different business models. So they don't. What they do is they write the privacy policy that protects Squarespace. And a lot of people make the mistake of using that privacy policy thinking that it protects their business, and it doesn't. So, where do you get privacy policies from? So, I do sell them on my website as there. I'm moving to a subscription model. That should be up next week. I'm a little behind on it. So you can do that. And here's my website there if you want to go there. Um, you can look online and do some research on privacy policies. Look at different privacy policies from agents doing something similar. Do not take their text because that's copyright infringement, but it'll give you some ideas. Um, you know, um, that's a good place to start. Um, but you need to have a privacy policy on your website. Why? You need to make sure California requires you to have a privacy policy if you have clients out of California. So does New York. So New York and California laws are very different. New York standard is a reasonableness standard. Is it reasonable for you, like if there's a breach, is it reasonable for you to have stored your information the way that you stored it? Right? Whereas California is a lot more strict. They're saying you need to have a minimum type of encryption, so on and so forth. So you need to make sure that your privacy policy meets each state law. So going through me, it will. But if you're drafting it yourself, you need to understand those nuances. Okay? You can also seek an attorney that does privacy policies as well. Make sure that that's what they do. So there's different places to get those. Same thing with terms of use. Okay? Now, again, these things must be posted on your website. You can get fined a minimum of $2,000 per instance if you do not have a privacy policy on your website. Think about that. If you have a family of 4 who is a California resident and you don't have a privacy policy on your website, that's $8,000 minimum that you can be fined. Now, let's say you have 10 families of 4, right? Well, it's 8,000. You're now looking at $40,000 in fines. So spend the money now. Get your privacy policy on your website. Okay? Terms of use, it is not a must-have, but you still should have it because it protects you. It protects your company. So if somebody comes onto your website and does things, you see this on Facebook all the time. Somebody hacked my account. Somebody hacked this, that, and the other. But they hack websites too. And then do things to them that they shouldn't. So you need to have that policy up there. Or if somebody sees your website and they do some weird things to it, you say, look, if this isn't the website that you can't do these things to, you don't need to use my website, and it's okay. It's sort of like your house rules. You come into my house, you take off your shoes. You come into my home, you're restricted to the living room, kitchen, and dining room. You can't go into my bedrooms, or you can't sit on my bed with your street clothes on. Those types of rules. All of those rules are a part of coming into your home. Same thing with your website. Your website is the home for your business. So lay out those rules and let people know how they're going to treat your house. It's very important to do that. So I'm looking to see if you guys have any questions. I don't see any right now, but I want to take a moment to answer your questions. Um, and so, yes. So going back to the question at hand, is your website illegal? I don't know, but take a look at it. Is it illegal? Do you have those policies on your website? If you don't, then it is. Okay? So make sure you get your policies. Make sure you get them up and running. So let me know your questions, guys. I want to hear from you. Let me know what's pressing. And no question is too small. And while we're waiting for some questions to come up, don't forget to hit the little like button down at the bottom. And don't forget to subscribe. And remember, those who sign up today, January 5th, 2022, on the email, if you're not an email subscriber, current email subscribers will get a copy of this as well. But if you're sign up today, you will get the privacy policy checklist to your email. Anybody who subscribes after January 5th, 2022 will not get this little free resource. But anybody who subscribed up to today, you will get this free resource to your email. So please keep an eye out on it. And it's your privacy policy checklist. Come on, there has to be at least one or two questions. So if not, let's talk, put them up there as well. But let's talk a little bit about your website and what it should look like. I'm going to go back to mine because I would like for you guys to see the basic structure of your website and what it should have on there in order for you to be able to really market to your clients and still being compliant legally. But first, I'm going to answer Linda's question. I know COVID is the big concern now. And how can we add pandemic situations without just saying COVID? Because things may pop up. It's an interesting question. I want to delve into that a little bit when you say pandemic situations, because when you, in your terms and conditions, hopefully you have something in your force majeure paragraph dealing with pandemics there. But pandemics, COVID is not the first pandemic we've dealt with. We've dealt with Zika. We've dealt with Ebola. You know what I mean? We've dealt with all types of pandemics in our travel world. But that doesn't necessarily mean that those that doesn't necessarily mean that whatchamacallit, that this is going to be the last pandemic, right? Right now, COVID is the main thing because that's the thing that's happening right now. So you should actually have language in your terms and conditions that deals with that. And hopefully you're counseling your clients, about COVID, the policies, so on and so forth, and letting them know that these policies can change at any time and that you are not that you are not responsible for the policies. So that should be really covered under your terms and conditions. Now, do I say to not have something on your website? It's totally up to you. That deals with COVID, it's totally up to you. Some people have put on their website a disclaimer talking about COVID and what it is and what's going on. Some people have elected not to. Some people have sent it via email to their clients and prospective clients. Some people are just like, you know what? We'll deal with it as it comes. It is totally a business decision and how you wish to handle it. So now, Linda, you say your hands are raised. What do you mean by that? Go into that. Are you? Is it raised because you have another question? If so, just put it in the chat box. Or is it raised because it's just overwhelming and too much, and you just really are done and want to throw the baby out with the bathwater because of everything happening? All of those things are perfectly fine, but let me know in the chat. So while we're waiting for other questions, let's take a look at my website for a minute. So with my website, you're looking at me. It gives you a little information about who I am. Now, most people won't have different brands. I just happen to do so because I'm a business coach. I have the Travel Esquire'd brand, which is what's bringing you this YouTube stream, and then I have my law firm. So I have three different ways for people to reach me, depending on what their needs are, right? So I put it out here, not a problem. I also go into what people are saying about me, what my clients are saying, if you're on here, what they're saying here, and how to find me and to get me as a speaker, because I'm also a public speaker as well. I love speaking about these things. I'm actually speaking tonight for Michael Patterson's group. I can't remember the name of his group offhand. I will find it. But yeah, I'm speaking tonight there. I've spoken for DWHSA, the Destination Wedding and Honeymoons Association. I've spoken, done some stuff with my host agency, KHM Travel Group. So I love public speaking and I try to do it as much as possible. So you can request me to speak as well. And I've done stuff with Will Medina on his um podcast as well as his clubhouse. So yeah, and then I have down here um the information, disclaimer about my site, my terms of use, privacy policy. That's generally the outline of your website and what your website should look like. It should give some information about who you are, what you do, the services that you are providing to your clients and customers, and how to reach you. Those are the base questions. If you think about for those, we all went to school. They tell you about when you're writing something, they want to know the what, they want to know the who, they want to know the how. Those same questions go for your website, right? And that's how your website will look. But you need to make sure you have your privacy policy and your terms of use at minimum on your website. You should also have your terms and conditions too on your website, because those are the things you want to make forward facing to your clients. You want to be in compliance with your privacy policy, and you want to make sure that your clients and prospective clients have information about your policies and procedures up front. I always talk about being transparent, and your website is one of those places where you can be transparent. Hames. I hope that's your name and I said it right. Okay. They have a question. Did I say that you should disclose that you are using an outside CRM in the privacy policy? Thanks. First, you're very welcome. Second, yes, you don't have to say what that information, what that CRM is, because you may change. But yes, you should disclose that you may use third party software in order to process their information. And it's okay if you say that. Okay. And that's the term of art that I would use. I would use third-party software to process the information, and that software uses the latest in encryption and security, whatchamacallit, and security protocols to keep that information safe. Don't just say it, verify it. So if you're talking to TravelJoy, if you're talking to Tess, if you're talking to Vacation CRM, it is incumbent upon you as the travel advisor to make sure they're using servers that have encryption technology to keep that information safe. Ask them what happens if there's a breach, and if somebody gets into your whatchamacallit, gets into your database without your permission, if they hack into it and take client information, how do they handle that? What is your responsibility as a travel advisor, and what is their responsibility, right? Ask those questions because you want to make sure your client's information is safe, and you want to make sure that the things that you're saying in on your privacy policy are accurate and true. Okay? Because that'll get you in trouble if you don't. Don't be afraid to ask those questions. If somebody pushes back on you with giving you the answer to those questions, then you need to move on because that is a red flag. They should be able to answer to you or have it in their FAQs on their website how they're keeping this information safe. Okay, so that's the first thing. So the second part is I wanted to go into another bit on that question as well. Um, Keeping your client's information safe is paramount, and there's things that you can do to keep it safe. Okay, now, a lot of us travel. We have devices. We have our phones, we have our iPads, we have our laptops. Some of us have desktop computers. And we're pretty mobile people because we're always going on FAMs, we're always doing this, that, and the other, and we work on location. Some of the things you need to make sure of is that, I know we access a lot of our client information remotely, whether it be through cloud-based software, with my CRM TravelJoy, I can, as long as, I can go on the web and, it's web-based software. I can go on the web, log in, off I go, right? And then I can process, going on TO's websites to process credit cards. A lot of those are web-based as well. You need to make sure when you're doing that, one, you are on a secure network. If you're on a network at home, make sure that your home network is secure, password protected, and make sure your password is something that is not easy for anyone to get a hold of, right? Let people come onto your network. Like if you're able to use a guest um call it a guest access for people who may come to your home who don't live there with you, but want to get on your internet, use that. Don't give them your password. Use the guest access. I use my router is an Amplify router. It costs a couple $100, but what I love about it is that I can, from my phone, give somebody guest access, and then they can go on and get onto my internet without having to share my password with them. So if they're going to be here for the day or a couple hours, I don't have, it'll shut off automatically. But they don't have access to my entire network. They only have access to the internet. Make sure you have those things in place. Invest in that. That's a business expense. Um, if you're out and about, let's say you decide you want to go to a co-working facility or something of that nature, make sure you have a VPN. It's called a virtual private network. And that allows you to not be on the net, allows people who may hack into the system not be able to hack into your computer because you're on a virtual private network, which makes it harder for them to find the location of your computer. It hides your IP address, so on and so forth. That's even when you're traveling. Use your VPN whenever you have to process client payments. When you're outside of when you're traveling, make sure everything is password protected. Your phone, your iPad, your computer. So if somebody, let's say you lose your phone, you lose your computer, it makes it that much harder for people to go into your computer and take client information, right? Because it's up to you to protect it. Use a password manager. Okay, Google has one built in. Make sure make sure your passwords are hard. Don't make them easy. Don't make them your date of birth or your business name or anything of that nature. You use a password manager to handle your passwords. So if somebody breaks in, it makes it that much harder. Um Also, I'm trying to think what else is another good way to keep the information secure. I think those are it. Use your password manager. Um, Keep things password. Oh, two-factor authentication. It is a royal PITA, pain in the blank, 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 because you'll have, you'll log in and then they'll send you a code and then you send that code. But you know what? That two-factor authentication has saved my butt so many times when somebody actually got far enough to try and hack into my my account, and then the code is sent to my cell phone. So they can't change that. And so now I'm getting a code and I'm like, what in the world? And then it allows me to go in and change my password. Right? And these hackers have gotten brazen. They'll sit there and they'll email you and text you, can you send me the code that was sent to your phone? Don't do that. People have. Don't do that. Because then you just gave them an opening to get to your information. So those are just different ways to protect your client information. All right. And that's important that you do so. Because if you don't do that and the client information gets out, you can be charged with any damages that that client faces. Um, in case that their information gets out to a hacker and they do nefarious things with it. Also, with your business insurance, see if they cover cyber insurance. If not, get a separate policy. They do offer cyber insurance policies. So check um with your insurance with your insurance person to see if you have access to cyber insurance to help protect you in case things go wrong. So those are the things that I have. Are there any questions? Please put them in the chat. Would love to hear from you. And don't forget to put the little Q in front of it as well. Well, alrighty. So that's everything that I have with the privacy policy. I want to thank you guys for coming and tuning in with Travel Esquire today. I'm still looking to see if there's any questions, any last minute questions. I try to give about an hour and we have about 10 minutes left. So I would love to spend that 10 minutes answering your questions if you have them. But if you don't, that's okay too. If later on you don't you have a question and you want to whatchamacallit and you need to ask that, please put it in the comment section. I come back and answer questions. So if you go back to any of my previous streams, you'll see people leaving a comment or asking a question. I will come back and answer your questions. Also, please, 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 if you can, if you like my channel, support it, share it with your other travel advisors that you know of. If you have any topics that you want me to cover, put it in the comments section. Like I said, I come back and look at those things. So, I want to make sure that I'm providing content that works best for you and content that you want to hear that's important to your travel business. Again, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. I hope to see you. An announcement. I am going to every other week. And the reason being is that I want to spend more time curating the content. And I find doing this weekly on top of my business is a little bit hard. So I rather bring you quality content than to rush with content and get you stuff and not cover everything I want to cover. So I'm going to move to every other week. So the next Travel Esquire live stream will be in 2 weeks from today on January the 19th. So you will get email updates to let you know that. And thank you, Hams. I appreciate you saying that this was helpful to you. That is my goal, is to help you guys out. I totally understand, being a travel advisor and coming in, I totally get the fact that there's not much out there. And my hope is to provide um information to you, to make it to not it's not, what do I want to say, the information is out there. It's just really, really hard to find it, and it shouldn't be that hard. You should be able to get the information that you need in order to move forward with your business and be protected. So, a question from Life Travel, and I like how it's spelled. I love it. Where do you sign up for the email? So, I did put the email sign up in the chat. It looks like it was whatchamacallit? It didn't go through fully. So let me grab the link and I will put that in the chat. Give me 1 second, and then I see your question, Candace. But let me get the link. And it's also in the show notes as well. The link to sign up for the email. So in case you don't get it here, you can also go into the show notes. So here it is right here. And you can go and get on the email list. So Candace, when starting out, what is most important? And then she follows up to say, I know all of it's essential, but just to get started. You're right. All of it's essential, but not everything you can do right immediately. So the first thing you need to start out with is figuring out your plan. What is it that you want to do? Do you want who's your target audience? Who do you want to market to, right? And so Michael Patterson, he inspired me to move forward with this, and I want to do a course for travel agents to cover some of these questions that Candace has brought up today. Where do you start? What do I need? What are the foundations that I need? So I am going to put that together because just getting those same questions have inspired me to do so. So I'm going to do that. But where do you start out? You need to figure out who your target audience is. You need to start out with what is your niche? Are you just going to do destination weddings? Are you just going to do group travel? You're going to do both. What are you going to do? And that helps you hone in on your target audience. And then you want to figure out, okay, how do I reach them? So you have your website and so on and so forth. Word of mouth. You may do a Facebook page. You may do social media, Instagram, Facebook. All of those are great resources. But you want to make sure you're set up to take customers though. So your website, what goes on your website, your privacy policy, your terms of use, your terms and conditions. You need to have those things before you get started, right? Then you want to be able to have a way to get your clients. Are you going to do email? If so, have an email client, Flowdesk. Who else? I use Flowdesk. For my courses, I use Kajabi, and they have email included with that. So those are the two places. Those are the two things that you can use. How are you going to manage your email list? And then how are you going to store client information? Definitely have a CRM. There's so many out there. Like I said, I use TravelJoy. Some people use Vacation CRM. Some people use Tests. There's just so many out there. But do your research and make sure that and test them out. Make sure the CRM does what you need it to do. I'm not knocking Vacation CRM. I love them, but I charge fees. And I don't want to go through a separate account just to have a fee. You know what I mean? I want it all in one CRM, which is why I use TravelJoy, because I'm able to do that. Collect my fees, get electronic signatures, all through TravelJoy. That works for me. But I know very successful agents where Vacation CRM works for them and they love it, and you can't tell them anything else. You got to find what works for you. Okay? That's very important. So you got to have the foundation and the basics, and you got to have the right documents to do so. All right? Any other questions? We still have a couple more minutes. And I did put the link for the email list in the chat. So make sure you get yourself on the list, and give me till next week to get that checklist to you, because I just thought of it while I was on the stream. So I want to make sure it's right, and I want to get it formatted and looking good too. All right. If there are not any more questions, thank you so much again for joining us on the stream. Our next stream will be 2 weeks from today. If you're on the list, you will get email reminders, but you can also subscribe and click the reminder link as well, so you are reminded when the next stream is. Starting next month, we are going to have some guests coming in. I want to do that once a month. Just to talk about different aspects of our travel business and how to legally protect yourself as you're doing it. So, thank you guys again for tuning in. I will see you in 2 weeks, and you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day and a happy and prosperous 2022. Thanks so much. Enjoy.